5 years. Got them the hookup from Epic Games. Got them private servers. So they put up their tournament rules, advertise, get all these people to sign up, show up, day of the event. There's an update for Fortnite, and the servers don't work anymore.
Damn.
So for 3 hours, the admin team is trying to work on it and get it resolved, and they can't. So we had to revert back to the standard tournament format, and like everybody was super pissed.
All right, I'm cold starting. Cold start.
When you eat jelly beans,
I don't eat jelly beans. First,
You
let's
don't eat
get
jelly
let's
beans?
get this out of the way. Do not like jelly
You-
beans.
you eat an entire tub of frosting for dinner as a child, but you won't eat jelly beans?
It wasn't frosting. I ate a full thing of sprinkles.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah.
'Cause my mom left me no food.
They're like flavorless jelly beans.
Yeah, and I threw up, and now I hate sprinkles.
Well, the question was going to be, when you eat jelly beans in
two
the
bites.
future, if you were ever... No. I mean, it's a mixed container of flavors. Do you scoop them in and eat a handful at once, or do you pick through them and eat them one at a time?
I think I picked through them the first time. And I'm like, and then I get a little adventurous. I'm like, all right, now it's time to really... Oh, do you know what one thing... Mike, every Tuesday I freak out. And do you want to know why?
What's that?
Because, listen to this. Ready whenever you are, no rush. Do you know what that means to me?
What does that mean to you?
I'm ready right now, you better get your butt in your
No,
seat.
no.
I know, but every time, you're the only one that uses no rush in a nice way.
Meaning no rush. Like, hey, I'm sitting here watching YouTube videos and eating jelly beans. No rush. I'm ready whenever you are.
You're the only one that says that in a nice way. So I have to like remind myself to like every time you say no rush, I'm like going home as fast as I can.
I mean, actually, no rush.
I know, but it's just like I don't know, cause like if Evan were to be like, oh yeah, okay, man, no rush, I'd be like, all right, bro, like I'll get it done right now, I promise.
Super rush.
Yeah. You better run.
I do that all the time.
I know.
I've never had anybody say that before, though.
Really? Maybe it's just me. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I've just had terrible.
Normally, other people that I'm just like, no rush. They just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it doesn't. The
Oh,
first.
I've had people before. I've told them, I was like, oh, hey, yeah, no rush, and it'll be like 3 days later, and they'll respond back to me, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, a little bit of rush. Maybe a little bit of rush next time.
That's funny.
No rush within the next 6 hours.
Please.
Maybe how I should preface it.
All right, now I know what your window is. Now I've said it. I no longer freak out. I'm like, does he actually mean no rush? So I think I'm gonna, since we're hot mic'd right now, I think I'm gonna drop my fire when I announce some fire. You know, I'm gonna do all the fire at the same time.
You're going to drop the fire or announce the fire? I'm confused.
Both. There's two fires. I'm gonna drop the fire when I announce the one fire.
Drop the fire when you announce. So wait, the other fire's already started? It's already going?
Yeah. The other fires. It's I'm sitting at the campfire with some flint and steel, sparking it up. And once it starts, I'll bring in another fire that was already lit that I could have used before, but I'm like, oh yeah, more fire would look pretty cool.
You know what's very convenient about this conversation?
You had no
As
idea.
you were talking about starting and taking care of the campfire, the jelly bean I ate was toasted marshmallow flavor.
Ooh. See, that's why I can't get behind jelly beans. It's like it tells me what it wants to be, and then I think way too hard. I'm like, do I taste that? It's like Dr. Pepper when it's like this can of Dr. Pepper has 23 flavors, and I'm like, one. Does that taste a little different? I'm really going through and trying to find all 23.
My dad got a container of its cream soda Dr. Pepper.
Fire.
But you're like, shouldn't it already? Doesn't it already have all the flavors?
No, it's the 24th flavor that we were missing.
5 flavors.
Yeah, it's the cream and the soda. Oh, baby, we about to go live. Oh, snap. Wait, I kind of flipped this. 1 second.
Hold up.
Oh, here we go. The transition has been set. I'm going to go ahead and wind down the music here as we get rolled into another Tuesday night. I've come to realize I'm always late, but since we don't have a set start time, I'm always on time.
Yes. And I am never in a rush for us to start.
Yeah, ever. No rush. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 13. Oh, man, it still says 12. Man, dang. I'm really doing it today.
It's all good. It's the holiday season. Things are hectic.
Yeah, not enough for me to forget about changing the 12 to a 13. Episode 13. We are here. This is the LFTG Podcast. I am your host, Refresh. Sitting next to me is
Mohawkmike, who always remembers his cue and cites his name when called upon.
It's never been rehearsed. We never agreed that's how we're gonna intro the show. I just started doing it, and it's like delayed news reporter. It's like, how windy is it outside? Your beard's in your face. You wait 10 seconds to say it's windy. We could have just looked at you. But if you guys do not know how the show works, I'll go ahead and break it down. We have 3 segments, the quick scope, which is 2-minute discussions, just kind of scrolling through the news. It's almost like a prolonged Twitter feed. The reload, which is more discussion pieces, more debates. We've been having a little bit more debates here recently. Every now and then, Mike will get me all heated up. And then upcoming events, which is exactly what it sounds like, is events that we're excited to watch this weekend. So I'm super excited to get this week started. This was a crazy week.
It never ceases to be. It's always a crazy week.
I thought it would slow down and be like, all right, episode 5. I'm going to have to find new content. Nope, it just hits me in the face. I'll be walking in the door after a long day of work, and I scroll through Twitter. I'm like, perfect. I know exactly what I'm talking about on Tuesday. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this first topic here. Mango, which was the antagonist, apparently, of the Melee community, according to Metagame. Mango has hit full redemption arc stride and took Ludwig Ogren Championship Series. Massive charity event. Basically a big middle finger to Nintendo. But this was like the first time you've seen like a true major double elimination style just out of nowhere with a big prize pot. I think they beat Summit by like $20 for highest prize pot in Melee. I just kind of want to just go over the top 8 real quick. On winner's side, you had S2J played Wizrobe. Wizrobe beat S2J 3-0. S2J actually went Falco for the last game. Just couldn't get anything going. Mango 3-1ing Axe. Kind of a sad day watching that. Zane 3-0's Ginger. IBDW 3-0's None. That's kind of expected. IBDW just kind of has like a more cookie cutter play style that doesn't allow Falcon to really get started. That Fox is just super fundamentally correct when playing. A big upset actually happened, which is not really an upset because the matchup swings in Axe's favor. He beats Zane 3-1. Zane was actually, I think, favored to take the tournament. Won the Slippy Championship Series overall. Him and Mango kind of traded tournaments. IBDW in a crazy Game 5 beat S2J and then moves on to beat Axe in another crazy Game 5 on loser's side, and that's the loser semifinal. And then Mango, with the winners finals, secures a spot 3-0 over Wizrobe. And then IBW plays Wizrobe in another Game 5 and beats Wizrobe, ultimately meets Mango in Grand Finals, and Mango won the first game, lost the second game, and then games 3 and 4 was the Bird, man. The Bird was flapping its wing, doing some crazy down air pillar combos. It was the Mango show. So, really good bracket, really good job, really good production by Ludwig. He had PPMD come on and commentate as well, so that was kind of cool. Kind of had all the personalities from the Smash Doc were on stream at some point. Leffen did some commentary throughout the weekend. And it was the first time we got to see Ludwig and Slime actually commentate top 8, because usually the joke is that they're the round 1 pool guys. So it was a good event. I had a good time watching it. It kind of sparked my Melee imagination again. I got really, really hype watching it. I was rooting for people. I was losing my mind. But yeah.
And then isn't that also they raised I think it was $260,000 for charity?
Yep.
Was that also part of? Yeah.
Yep, they raised $260,000 for charity. Also, all donations that went to Ludwig that month throughout any of his other streams also went to charity as well. So one thing that we have learned over time is to keep Melee alive, there's usually a charity involved, and we give. Yep. We give. We give.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's normally a documentary comes out, and that helps boost the morale and player base. Not so much this time.
Episodes 2 and 3 are fire.
Charity aspect definitely came through for the Melee community once again.
Yeah, we're always given to people in need. So I think it's good. It kind of definitely shines a light on one, and the viewership was great. It peaked, I think, at 80,000 for an online tournament, and that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good for a almost 20-year-old game. It'll be 20 in about a year. But we're gonna move on to another series that happened throughout the week that I was pretty invested in, which was the CDL Scouting Series, the Challenger Scouting Series. If you guys do not know what the Scouting Series is each one of the coaches on the CDL teams got to basically play pickup 8s every day with the amateur players. Some amateurs got picked more than others. You kind of got to see some people that were lower in the brackets get picked on. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was, I touched on this a tiny bit with Rodney, but I feel like the CDL has not done a very good job with broadcasting their amateur stuff right now. Right now, a man called I Hold Shift has been basically doing community streams on Twitch for the CDL Amateur League. And I just think if you have someone doing this for free, you should be able to utilize your community, make your partnerships that you have happy, stream it to YouTube on your official YouTube channel, run some sponsored ads, make a little bit of money off of it, and it will give you a chance to really highlight these up-and-coming players that a lot of us are already trying to... And it's content. Right now, the CDL hasn't officially started, but it's content in the meantime, and it's great Call of Duty to watch play. It's not like the skill level is low at all. Mm-hmm. But I think they're making a big mistake not showcasing their production talent or the amateur talent that's coming up. I feel like they're missing out on a big opportunity and not broadcasting this.
Well, and it should also be super player focused and show kind of like the storylines of these younger, or maybe, not necessarily up and coming, but those players that just squeaked out, maybe not getting an actual challenger's position or a pro position, and kind of continuing their path into going into the pro league. And it's like you said, it's basically, it's not free content because you still have to pay for the broadcast team, you still have to pay for commentators, but there are sponsors that you can align with that aren't sponsors of the normal CDL. There's so many opportunities here, and it's crazy to just see it slip by.
You say that that you have to pay people, but literally the only broadcasts that we've had for these things have all been free and community ran, and I feel like this is all. I guarantee you, I Hold Shift, if the CDL came up and said, "Hey, I mean, it's going to be volunteer work, but if you stream on the official Call of Duty League channel, we'll throw your Twitter handle up and everything. Will you do that for us instead of just doing it on Twitch? I guarantee you that person would say yes. I would say yes. I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll raise my hand right now. You want me to cast you want me to cast Parasite and Center playing in a amateur league? Yeah, I'll do it. That's drama. I don't know if you heard about that, but we won't even go there. But you got some Activision news for us.
Yeah, speaking of Activision and kind of falling short, we had a lot of turmoil within the European scene, specifically Activision Blizzard, mostly Blizzard employees. It is not official, but from seeing everything on the Twitter feeds, Blizzard's European esports division, which covers Europe, the Middle East, Africa, have everybody's been let go. So we're seeing employees that have been a part of Blizzard for upwards of 14 years, many for over a decade, literally announcing that the 21st was their last day. This was throughout the week last week. And it's just kind of like a really odd, kind of like, what is the situation happening here? Now, obviously, Blizzard themselves, this isn't new news of them just having mass layoffs without any announcement or any kind of like justification. Specifically, like I said, there are employees that have been there for at least a decade, if not longer, that literally just like, hey, I just got word that I was let go and all the projects I was working on are canceled and I don't know what the future holds. So we know that Activision Blizzard obviously is investing in esports. They know they're going to continue a lot of these initiatives. Are they just scrapping the current team they have? Are they bringing in a new vendor? I think the interesting thing here too is that we know that originally Activision Blizzard, they purchased what was MLG at the time and were using their entire team to run the initial Overwatch League and CDL, basically set up that format. And now that they have Esports Engine, it may appear that Activision Blizzard is going to give them the contracts to continue running these esports efforts for them. So,
Yeah.
out with the old, in with the older. I don't know.
Yeah, Mike. So everybody that I saw, basically get let go that I followed, usually had something to do with Overwatch League or some other game. I know that with the success of the CDL this last year, I know some of those same people that were helping run that also are going to be doing things in Overwatch as well. So I don't know if this was like part of a small merger. And I definitely think Esports Engine is going to get a lot of those contract work that was already basically out there. But I wonder if this was something internally like, well, we have this team that was doing this successful and they built this successfully and they feel like they can handle both entities. I wonder if this was kind of like a merging. And when you kind of merge something like this, you can't really have. Sometimes it only takes one person to do a certain job or not as many people, and maybe there was like some overlap that ended up being was like, all right, well, we're going to scrap this team because this is where the overlap is. I would like to see someone kind of come out and just be like, maybe from Blizzard to be like, hey, we did this and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a why explanation would be very good, and I think that would provide a lot of transparency in a company that sometimes doesn't provide it too much.
Yeah, I don't foresee us getting any kind of official update. We didn't last time. With the mass layoffs. We do know that the CEO got a big bonus for his efforts that year, but tons of employees were let go, so we'll see.
We shall see. But do you know? I mean, this got pushed, right? We're talking about the Capcom Cup.
Yeah. So for anyone unfamiliar with the Capcom Cup, this is basically the Street Fighter World Championships. They have an entire league structure that plays out through the entire year. Players acquire points. Those points can earn you qualification into the Capcom Cup finals. They normally have a last chance qualifier, and from there, your final bracket is set. It is always within the history of Capcom Cup played in December of that year. But obviously, with things being wacky with the pandemic this year, we got official word from Capcom that the Capcom Cup Finals will be taking place in February, specifically February 19th through the 21st in the Dominican Republic. We're going to see the finals for both the Street Fighter League and the traditional Capcom Cup. So this will be the Street Fighter V World Championships, kind of is the easy way to put it. But it was very odd because they announced that they were having Capcom Cup. It's going to be in February, which means that it was technically pushed back from whatever previous date it may have been held for. It's not in December this year. But also they had to alert everyone, this is not a public event. Whatever you do, do not book hotel, do not book travel, do not show up the day of Capcom Cup, but here's where it's going to take place. Very odd maneuver.
Yeah, well, the big thing to say here is that this event will be live. The players will be in one place performing, right?
Yeah, and they've been doing the same thing for Street Fighter League.
Mm-hmm.
They've had all the players in studio, and there have been travel accommodations, and they're following COVID regulations and everything. And now they're anticipating, I mean, we're talking players from all over the world. I don't know what travel restrictions are still out there floating around. I know that as an American citizen, there was a span there of about 2 months where, like, I couldn't fly into anywhere in Asia. I couldn't fly into anywhere in Europe, specifically with my passport.
Well, maybe this is why they chose a location. Maybe the Dominican Republic is one of those places that were just like, get tested. There's some protocols. I know Colombia has kind of same protocols where it's like you get tested, you have to provide proof that you've been tested, quarantine yourself, and then you can go. So
right.
Maybe.
And so that's something I didn't do the homework there as well. But, you know, there's players traveling all over the world that are literally going to be coming here to compete. Hopefully there's not another crazy lockdown or another crazy, you know, like super spread or another variation of COVID that kind of locks everything down again. Because then they're going to have to reaccommodate for that. But it's kind of odd that pushing it back, I can understand. Flying all these players in, that's a little crazy. But that's the problem with them not having good netcode. And then also they literally tweet it, and then 2 minutes later have to tell people, do not show up.
By the way,
do not show up, close the back.
Yeah. I do think they should have led with that statement. They're like, hey, this could be a close final, but I think for competitive integrity, we're going to play this game in a personal setting. And this is something that other esports are starting to think about doing too. So this will not become a uniquely Capcom Cup thing. I think we're kind of moving in that direction anyway, as time flies by during this pandemic. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is the reload. There has been a big discussion this past week, and it's some more Call of Duty news. But basically what's going on in the Call of Duty world is that we have been debating about GAs, what maps should be played, what maps shouldn't be played. Over this last week and a half, we had Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War re-released the Black Ops 2 Classic Raid. Basically a one-for-one, same color palette, everything. Literally the only thing that has changed on the map is the depth of the pool. You can just swim in it now. Before it was like you could just run across it, I guess. But now you can swim in the pool. It's perfect. It plays exactly how it did, and it's for sure going to be in the competitive rotation. And what has happened is you have now the community is debating on like, all right, well, how should we handle competitive maps in the future? The discussion right now is, should there be a list of maps that go from Call of Duty title to Call of Duty title, similar to what Counter-Strike does? And just, I mean, you have a lot of these competitive games, these super big esports, they have the same map sets. Even if you look at a game like League of Legends, yeah, the map changes, but it's the same map, it's the same stage. Super Smash Brothers is pretty much the same way. With Ultimate, you have some new ones sprinkled in, but the old ones follow the ones that everybody loves. And I think the best way that we could go about doing this is picking 5 maps, whether it be a Treyarch title or an Infinity Ward title. And then a way to kind of keep it fresh, because the new Call of Duty comes out every year, the Treyarch maps follow the Treyarch titles, and then the Infinity Ward maps follows the Infinity Ward titles, and we leave 2 slots open for new maps. So that way the devs, they can flex their creative muscles and create something new and competitive for us. But basically right now is the talk. should map remakes be a thing? Should we be more open-minded to accepting other maps, new maps, maybe maps that aren't as good, but should we just suck it up and play new maps, or should we be looking forward to more map remakes? What do you think?
I feel like from a player situation, obviously you want to have the most consistent gameplay throughout all of the competitive leagues, competitive seasons. So having these map remakes, not only is it great for nostalgia's sake, I mean, how many times have we seen Nuketown?
I love it.
You know, we saw Firing Range return. We saw like some of these classic maps, coming back, and I think that's great. And from the competitive standpoint, I think you hit it right on the head. You know, like Counter Strike, very seldom do we see newer maps that are introed. You know, it's the same maps, over and over and over again, which is great, and that's what we've grown to know. And even then, even though they're older maps, you still see new strategies. You still see teams that have different setups and things like that. With Call of Duty, it's odd just because we get a new game every year, or the gameplay changes. There could be look at like Advanced Warfare, like a lot of those maps. I don't know that they would play so well with like wall runs and jetpacks and double jumps and stuff like that. So traditional maps are great. I think if they were going to do it, I think I would limit it to one, what I would call like a legacy map. So like during like specifically like CDL, like, okay, there's a pick ban phase, and then one of the maps within rotation, maybe the tiebreaker map, maybe map 5 is always a legacy map,
like a raid or slums.
Yeah, and that map is picked before the tournament even starts, and it's like, hey, if you go to a game 5, you're playing SND on Nuketown, you're playing whatever on whatever. And so that way all the players across the board are like, okay, well, we know that if it goes to a game 5, every team should never want to play to a game 5.
Yeah, you want to end that series as soon as possible.
This makes it an exciting thing for the viewers. If it does go to a game 5, then they get to see one of these nostalgic maps. But I think forcing them into regular gameplay, I don't think is optimal, especially with the changes to the gameplay each year.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, I feel like we have had enough jetpack titles, and we've had enough boots on the ground titles to where I think, because there was good maps in Black Ops 3, there was good maps in Infinite Warfare, and there was good maps in Advanced Warfare. I think the future of COD is going to stay boots on the ground. There's been a lot more success with boots on the ground as far as the games being sold and the games being watched. I would like to at least see it half and half, though. I would like to see whether they rotate out, maybe slums as in this year, raids in this year, slums as next year. But I say you add a couple more maps. I mean, there's so many good maps that are just really well balanced. And I don't think any of that, especially the maps back in the day, was actually on purpose. I think a lot of the maps that are actually fine-tuned for competitive sometimes don't work as well as more of... I feel like they try to fine-tune these maps in an asymmetrical way, but a lot of these maps like Slums, Raid, even a fun map like Newtown, a lot of these really, really good maps are actually pretty symmetrical if you look at it. I don't know. I feel like I would be okay with at least half, or like I said before, maybe even more than half, being legacy maps that follow from game to game, and that way it puts a really high standard on when a new map comes out, and when a new map potentially comes out. All right, this map needs to be as good as Raid. It needs to be versatile, because I feel like these last couple years we've had a couple of maps. Last year, the perfect example was Piccadilly. For competitive, it was only played on Search and Destroy. That it's not a useful competitive map. We need maps that you can play in Search, Hardpoint, Control, and then when you go play Infinite Warfare, Infinity Ward's titles, Dom or Blitz, whatever they decide to throw on this next year. We need maps that can be multiple things. And right now we're playing Cartel S&D, and no pros are practicing it anymore. Everyone's just basically just been like, we're not playing this map. It's not a good competitive map. I don't know. I'd like to see more legacy stuff. Big news. Speaking of Call of Duty and Call of Duty League. Big hot fire news. I have to pull up notes because there's a lot to uncover here. The Call of Duty League 2021 season format has been revealed. There's been quite a few changes from the previous year. Basically, the previous year, each team had a homestand. There was 8 teams that attended in each of these homestands, and the other teams had a bye. You basically played a mini double elimination bracket tournament. You got points based on where you placed in the tournament. This year, we're going back to 5 majors a year. In between those majors, we will have minor events, and there will be 3 home series. So they're still labeled as home series. We will have 3 home series in between each major, and that means every team will be playing 5 matches. So each home series is a round robin. That's it. You play your matches, you leave. 5 matches are played per team before every major. Champs and majors will be seeded in the same format as champs was last year. So the higher seed you are, the further you are placed in the bracket. This puts a lot more weight on the home series, which I love that format. It spreads it out. It spreads it out through multiple weekends for champs, at least, when all 12 teams are in attendance. You have a championship weekend, and their seeding matters way. You guarantee yourself. Last year, you guaranteed yourself $500,000 being in the top 2 seeds. You could lose. You could just lose. Show up the champs and lose and get $500,000. That is perfect incentive for me to play well during the season. I want that. I want that $500,000. Yeah. All 12 teams will attend majors. So I don't know how many teams are going to attend the round robin. I'm assuming it's going to be 5 matches. You'll probably have 6 teams. You're probably about half. Yeah, because you play 5 teams. So you'll have 6 teams. I think this is a good format. The only thing that I am a little bit concerned of is this league's going to last from January. I don't know the date in January. I don't think they've posted it. From January to August. That's not a lot of events from January to August when you're a pro league. So what I think they should do is they should spread them out with these home series every other week. And then the weeks between, I think they sprinkle in challengers. They get us invested in challengers. And then they do a break between the last major and champs. And then you have your challengers champs that week. And then you follow up with champs. But I think overall, I think this will be a really good format. I think the matches during the home series could be possibly less exciting because you don't technically have a grand final every other weekend. It's more of like watching Sunday football where they're really just playing for their spot in majors. But I think overall, I think it's going to provide a lot of content. I think they did the math. Before champs, every team guaranteed 25 matches. Played. So it's about the same length as the football season. So I think this could be good. I think this is an interesting change for the CDL. I think it will be interesting to see what the viewers think of it and how it is received.
I think this is a great adjustment for the current world that we live in. We don't know. We haven't heard any other news about them, a potential bubble, right? That's still... no bubble. As we know, no bubble. So as far as everyone competing from home, and especially with, viewership, especially you're not going to be able to attend the homesteads, at least as everything is set out right now. I think it sounds like it's a great adjustment. I think they've taken some of what they had to learn on the fly last year and they've implemented it. But then also, too, having those weekly round robin, having the round robin matches, I think does put more emphasis on it. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps viewership as well, because it sounds to me like those number of matches, like viewership, you will not have to watch as long just to get the results. But then also, too, from a fan engagement standpoint, staying on top of everything is going to be so much easier than having to wade back through. You could just look at basically a team's records and then kind of have a better idea where they are quarter season, mid season, towards the end of the season, and then heading into champs.
Yeah, and then you still have your 5 major events where all 12 teams are intended. You have a full double elimination bracket, and you really get to see like good losers runs. But I think keeping it down to the I don't know if you remember when they originally announced the format for CDL, each team was going to fly out and play one game.
Yeah,
and that's something that the Overwatch League has done. but that's a nightmare for players. That is the worst case scenario for a league format because you have players, I guess, Paris flying over to play one match in LA, and then they have to fly home, and then maybe the next week they have to fly to Minnesota, but now everything's online. So there is no bubble, but there's an unofficial bubble because 98% of the players that play in the CDL all now live in Texas as of this year.
Yeah.
So there's only a few that are going to be living on the West Coast and the East Coast, but majority, almost all of your players are in Texas. So it's going to be a Dallas server, and they're going to be 2 or 3 ping, basically going to be playing on LAN. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really good matches this year. I think the skill level, I think this will be the best Call of Duty we have ever watched. But hopefully something doesn't happen, and that thing is cheating.
I think so much. You know, it's interesting that I guess, so COD this year is going at PC with controllers, so there is more potential there to cheat. But the Valorant community was rocked this past weekend. Twitterverse completely ablaze. Now, I have notes here as well that I've taken on my phone, so I'm going to go through these notes. Everything here is just basically like verbatim. Like, I don't have any actual quotes or anything like that, but I want to run everybody through the scenario. So, Pittsburgh Knights was hosting a Valorant online tournament series, and the match in particular in question was between Built by Gamers and it's like a kind of like an unofficial, like non-sponsored team, even though it's basically backed by Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a player on behalf of Built by Gamers. It goes by the alias of Critical. There was a moment where he was the last player alive in the round for the team, and he was just kind of like backing up. They're trying to save. He's trying to eco. He's got his Vandal, which is the AK-47. He's just trying to back up. And as the spectator client, you know, we're watching the broadcast. We can see where the enemy players are. We can see where the other team is. And all of a sudden, Critical's crosshair literally goes from like there's like 1 player to the left and there's 2 players to the right. His crosshair literally out of nowhere just jumps immediately over to one of the players on the right, and it's just hovering over his head. It's very, very weird, erratic movement. You know, obviously, us at home, we can know there's a player there, but technically he should not have been able to see. It's an online event, so immediately accusations of cheating run rampant on Twitter. The clip is shared around. The tournament admins are posting. Basically what happened was, as soon as that claim happened, they went into a review process. They approached the coach, the manager of Built by Gamers. At that time, I think they handled it very appropriately. The Pittsburgh Knights staff was like, hey, you know, we're going to put this under review, but it looks very, very, very bad right now. Do you guys just want to concede? And we'll take you out of the tournament, and then we'll give our foundings later. And they're like, absolutely. Unbeknownst to the players. So this is after the fact. Players on Twitter are like, nope, we were never told if we wanted to concede. We didn't want to DQ ourselves. We were not cheating. There's nothing you can do to claim it. So basically, the team agrees. Ninja himself, reportedly behind the scenes, is going absolutely livid, trying to do everything he can to defrain. You got to think about this. This guy has millions. We're talking a handful of millions of followers on Twitter. He sends out one tweet that his team was cheated against. Everybody's going to
explode.
At that point. Absolutely. So Built by Gamers ended up DQing themselves. Ninja's teams advanced. The process later is reviewed, and they find that it's not cheating. Here's the crazy thing. They're under the review process. There's actually a Twitter account under the profile name. It's Anti-Cheat PD.
Yep.
And through all of the clips they collected and through all the research they did, they ended up saying, hey, through our investigation, we don't think there's any cheating here. Pittsburgh Knights ends up rejecting or reversing their decision and says, hey, Pittsburgh shouldn't be, or Built by Gamers shouldn't be disqualified. But the whole thing, have you seen the clip? Did you see the clip from this moment that I'm talking about specifically?
So I have seen the clip, and it's very reminiscent of when a Counter-Strike player called Stewie2K was accused of cheating as well. Mm-hmm. It could it's so hard to tell with someone that's so well practiced and not their knowledge of the game so high. If an audio cue came through and they knew that there was someone possibly coming through that doorway or possibly in that area and they're doing audio tracking, which is something that does happen in first-person shooters, where you're hearing footsteps, you're hearing audio, and you're tracking someone through a wall, and when they pop out, they get shot. I, it's a 50-50, man. I feel like it's so hard to tell with some of these players that are just playing out of their mind and so good in awareness, because there's always been times where I've been watching, whether it be Halo or Call of Duty, where they have spectator cam up and they're like staring right where somebody is, and they're just like, it's just like a weird sixth sense, or if someone's been called out, hey, possibly in this hallway, and they just right there, crosshairs right over the head, and as soon as they peek, they're done. And it's like it's so, I think it's so easy for someone to say that could be cheating, but I think if they're not, you have to give it to that player for their awareness. Yeah.
I think that's the situation here that's unique with this, is that we're in a completely online world at this point, not only because of the pandemic, but like all the players as well. So it's not so easy to actually check and see at a LAN, like, oh, are they using hacks or cheats or bots or whatever? Yeah. And so the unique thing here is that everybody on Twitter started going and doing their own kind of policing, so to say, as far as reviewing the clip and trying to determine if it was cheating or not. But then also, too, like with Ninja being involved in the mix, it got way more exposure than I think it would have normally been, because this wasn't part of the First Strike series. This was just a different Valorant tournament that was happening. I saw the clip. It does look very sketchy to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, for me, the last couple of weeks playing Valorant, I actually have lowered my sensitivity a lot on my mouse. And I find I'm more in a situation where if I'm literally towards the end of a round, or I'm trying to like walk and not prevent noise, I actually will more pick up my mouse and then move it, because I find that like with the lower sensitivity, it's harder to whip and be more accurate. So like, I'm sure that if somebody was spectating my viewpoint and you actually had the character models from the other teams where you could see where they were on the map, if I'm picking up my mouse and just moving it and setting it back down, that's going to look weird. There's going to be weird, janky movements. So benefit of the doubt here, I think innocent until proven guilty. Make them run the set back. That's unfortunately not what happened. But again, make them, just replay the match.
I do, yeah. It's so hard to tell, especially with these online events, because your verdict doesn't come in for so long. Like the proven innocent part, it takes so long for like real evidence, whether they be cheating or not. I feel like the actual initial reaction by the tournament organizers was actually a pretty good reaction.
Absolutely.
Reaching out to the team managers, not confronting the players right away, just being like, "Hey, look, this is an issue that's possibly happening." I feel like that it was handled in a discreet way. Unfortunately, they were playing in a very undiscreet event, and I feel like it could have been definitely played out of proportion. But I do think it also does kind of get the community involved, and you do have people, cheat PD, the cheat police. Like, it does allow the community to kind of make their own assessment of it, and I feel like if an organizer says, hey, this person could have been cheating, if you don't allow the community to actually see it and review it, I think that could be a PR nightmare, not for the tournament organizer, but for the player. Because in the past, there's been a lot of cheating accusations that have almost ruined careers, and they basically have to prove their way back into the scene. It's happened in Rainbow Six, Counter-Strike. It happens in Counter-Strike, it seems like every year.
Yeah, a lot.
and this is an event where there's a lot of former Counter-Strike players in it, so you can see that trend kind of start to creep into another game. Crazy stuff. Speaking of cheaters of my happiness have struck it again, but in a reasonable way, supposedly. Explain this.
Yeah, so we all know, if I were a betting man, I would not have put my money on Nintendo to come again this week with another cease and desist.
You wouldn't have put money on it?
I would not have put money
you're
on it. I
crazy.
would have thought that all of that would have been squashed. I would have, everything would have been fine and dandy. But yep, we see the fine folks over at Player Versus were in the process of starting a collegiate Smash Brothers Ultimate Tournament series, and Nintendo basically slapped them with the big cease and desist, saying, we don't think so, not allowed to. The unique thing here is that Nintendo basically, by doing this, kind of also blurbed that they were planning on doing a collegiate series. Obviously, we've kind of heard this in the past with Melee or other Smash focused. Nintendo was like, oh, we were going to do a league, and Red Bull approached, and Twitch approached, and all the blah blah blah. So
Never happens.
take that with a grain of salt. But the thing here is that, for anybody unfamiliar with Play Versus, their big claim to fame is that they are one of the quote unquote pioneers of high school esports. So they have had official dealings with Riot Games for League of Legends. They have also done things for Rocket League and a few other official publishers as well. Their whole premise, their business model is that they approach high schools and inform them like, hey, this is esports, we're the official high school tournament platform for League of Legends or for these other games. The high schools sign on, they have to pay fees to compete in these leagues. Sometimes the school pay out of pocket if they have the budget. Other times the students themselves, if they want to compete, have to pay. And from all of the information that I've received, and again, like, this is secondhand information, I haven't dealt with anybody from Player Versus that itself, but I've been hearing a lot of kind of like shady business practices, and more importantly, when it comes to those fees associated with it, once you pay to have your school be a part of these leagues and this platform, there's very little follow-up, there's very little actual organization between, like, okay, well, you're a high school that's competing in esports that's based in Ohio. Instead of matching you with other Ohio teams, you're just going to play other high schools around the world, and it's not set up. It's not as turnkey as you would hope it is.
Right.
And Nintendo basically stepping down and slapping them with a cease and desist. A lot of people are actually saying that this is a good thing because this is already a shady organization that hasn't really fulfilled a lot of their promises to their other clients.
Yeah, I think this could be a little blessing in disguise. I feel like if you're going to run something like a high school series, you need to have a group of high schools within a district to agree to do it, and then boom, then you start charging for fees. I think reaching out to an individual high school and asking for money right out of the gate is a very shady dealing, especially if you're going to promote it as a high school sports activity. I feel like you need to kind of get the district involved and kind of go that route. And sometimes the district can be a little hard to get a hold of. Growing up in Utah, the high school at first, the high schools were definitely not down for esports. But when we started having people on Fridays coming over and watching Halo instead of going to the football games, and they kind of cared a little bit. I do feel like, however, high school is the place for organized esports in schooling. I feel like college, I understand the marketing and the viewpoint for college esports, but I feel like the player base and the skill level growth, the main part of it, the main players that you see growing, they grow during high school, and it should be handled kind of how like the NBA does it now. A lot of these players in the NBA are starting to come from high school, not college anymore, because you're seeing their content online, their games being streamed online. There's more of an example on how these players play before they even get anywhere close to college. I do feel like it is interesting that Nintendo hit this with a cease and desist. Maybe they saw something they didn't. Maybe Play Versus had a complaint or two that may have been brought to Nintendo's attention. But I don't feel like Nintendo was really actually working towards a collegiate series.
Yeah, that's the things that are in the rumor mill, and I don't think so either. Maybe that's one of those things that was just cited by somebody that was at Nintendo, basically just like, oh, you can't run this because we're going to run it.
Because we've thought about it at some point, maybe.
Have any actual intention? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I will just to kind of like bounce off your previous statement. I do feel like I think that the biggest difference between collegiate and high school is that collegiate tend to have a lot of additional funds. So the players themselves, being just, older in nature, have more of a disposable income. So, what we see like with the Madden Collegiate Series is like the players themselves are playing on their own Xboxes with Xbox Live. They're playing on PlayStations. They're buying copies of the games themselves. Whereas if you look at something like League of Legends, like Alienware or iBuyPower is, have tons of partnerships with colleges across the country. And so collegiate, there's more of a chance for return on investment, whereas high school, everything is basically donation based. And not all of the players that are going to be there are going to have a Switch, an Xbox, a PC.
You would have to get the city involved.
Exactly.
You'd have to get the cities and the district involved. And I feel like people are overlooking that. People are like, oh, esports, I'm going to come to your college or high school and I'm going to run a tournament. That's not how it works.
I would love to see more libraries get the funding and the foresight to actually plan on, hey, like I know that there are a lot of libraries, like I know that some of my local libraries in Ohio actually have like, hey, we're, there's a gaming club on Friday and we have Xboxes you guys can play on.
Yep.
Nothing really actually esports focused, but like kind of more of a commitment to like, hey, we have 10 gaming PCs, this is our LAN area, don't use any of the other library equipment for gaming related stuff, but if you want to come and check out time, or hey, come on Friday, we're running a whatever, Minecraft spleefing tournament, whatever it is.
Yeah,
there's a lot that they could do there to get kids more involved, and we're not really seeing that. But yeah, on the high school level, it's so discombobulated. I don't really see anything happening with it, not as quickly as collegiate.
Not in the foreseeable future. Yeah, I like I said, I think people are skipping over the actual process it would take to get into high school at a reasonable level. And one thing that will surprise you is even outside of libraries, a lot of city buildings have like big conference rooms that are never used, and they're dying. So maybe a high school league could be almost formed in almost like a city rec league kind of way. And like, how like when you grow up and play baseball as a kid, like maybe in more of that way is kind of where you see that age shine. But I just feel like if you're going to promote the talent of some of these players, you need to promote them as they're growing in talent so you can watch them develop as players rather than, all right, well, they're 21, but there's a rookie in the CD. There's 21 playing in college, but there's a rookie in the CDL that's 18, just got out of high school and winning world championships. That my biggest argument there is who are you going to watch? And then you can arguably say that player, we could have provided a platform for not only that player that is in the CDL, Rookie of the Year, MVP of the league, winning championship when you turn 18, we can also provide a platform of watching them grow as a player. So not only do we care about them now, but we care about the career. We already make fans. You sell more jerseys. You have more content of that player, and it allows scouts to really look at some of these players in a more professional way instead of like, oh, hey, I have this friend that's really good. It's like, no, this kid from 9th grade to 12th grade just performed.
Yeah.
And I feel like high school is where we'll see that. But I also see the point where colleges do have these budgets, and colleges have already started to put aside their time. I've hosted events at college. They've gave us plenty of space. They gave us projector screens. That's the difference, That's the difference. But events. We're going to jump right into events, and I didn't choose an event because you chose my event. And this is the only event that we should be watching this weekend. And do you want to know why? We've talked about this way too much. We've talked about this upcoming event way too much.
I'm confused because my event isn't upcoming this weekend.
It's the 20th.
We have the same. We do not have the same event.
We do not?
You can go first with your event if you would like, because I feel like...
Is it not this weekend? Or did it already happen? No, it hasn't happened yet. We do have the same event. I just thought it was this weekend. It's not this weekend.
Okay.
Might be.
Well, tell you what. I'm going to allow you to share and give the info on this event, and then I'll fill in the cracks if I feel necessary.
All right.
Because it's something I've been giving you grief about for the last... many.
And this is why I want to watch this event, because I want to see if the PUBG Mobile Championship Finals that are going to be held in Dubai in January 2021 is going to be successful for viewership or not. It's going to be fun to watch. Hopefully, I mean, it's going to be held in Dubai at the Coca-Cola Arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top 16 teams competing for 1.3 chump change prize pool.
1.3 million USD.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And it's going to be LAN finals, but January 2021, that's coming up. It's coming up pretty soon.
So the odd thing is we don't know if it actually is going to be a LAN finals. We know that it is going to be in Dubai. It's just during the announcement video, they showed the Coca-Cola Stadium, which gives us the impression that it is going to be a LAN finals. Obviously would not be open to the public unless if Dubai is like, we don't care. We're our own sovereign nation. We don't care what COVID is. Come and be as you are and watch and buy tickets. They may already have a built-in audience. We don't even know.
I'm curious to see how it is to watch because there's always been this I don't know what it is about 2020, man, but there's this looming discussion over mobile games right now, and I just want to see if it's gonna work. It's like a car that you watch someone build, and you don't know if the car looks good or it looks like it's gonna run, but when it starts rolling, you're just like, man, is it gonna fall apart? And I guess we'll find out because I do want to watch. Man, when you put it up here, I was like, oh yeah, that is coming up. So I thought it said it was this next weekend, but now I'm super sad because now I have nothing to watch next weekend.
Yeah. The fascinating thing here is they already have been like, so this like iteration of the PUBG Mobile League has already been happening. And basically this is the end of basically what was be like the regulation season.
Mm-hmm.
And they just dropped this announcement saying, hey, top 16 teams, the final is going to be in Dubai, $1.3 million prize pot. And so we're just kind of getting in on these details. So the top 16 will be.
What do you think the viewership's going to be?
I don't. On Twitch,
throw out a
won't
number.
Be that great? Throw out a number. It depends on the actual date in January, because there could be other events going on.
Just assume there's zero events going on.
I'm going to say 20K, easy.
Oh, that's lower than what I would have said, actually.
I'm going to say 20K.
I was going to say 50.
50. I think it could hit 50.
I think it's going to be more than 50. I'm lowballing at 50. I think it's going to be more.
Could be way higher because of the India market, which we know is re-exploded.
Yep.
I just feel like Twitch, as far as viewership for an English broadcast, the PUBG Mobile, isn't going to peak that high. But like, if they're also streaming on YouTube, and if they also have multiple languages that are going on, we could see viewership in the millions. It's just going to be spread across multiple channels.
I never trust that. I never trust that number.
Yeah, I don't ever trust that number either. I usually
They're like, we had 1.5 million viewers. Like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You had 20,000 people watch on Twitch.
I'll jump around from like Twitch to YouTube to Facebook to Twitter to everything else to see concurrent viewership. And I'm like,
And I'm definitely the person that's like, oh, if I have to miss a Call of Duty match, I'll just leave the live stream up. Give them a view.
Yeah, there you go.
No one's there. No one's there watching that.
Please, sir, may I have a view?
No, I think viewership's going to be higher than what we think. I do think the India market's going to kick in, and I do think I am specifically talking about the English broadcast on Twitch. Like that single broadcast, I think is going to have a high viewership.
Absolutely bonkers to me that PUBG Mobile is now the focus for PUBG. Like the actual PUBG competitive scene,
it's just been overshadowed.
It's been completely overshadowed. It's the only game that I can think of that literally went from, hey, here's our esports division, and we're doing this for this game. And they're like, oh, here's our mobile division, and it's completely now like play PUBG Mobile. Like don't worry about that PC game. $1.3 million in Dubai.
I'm excited. The Coca-Cola Arena it's a new arena, right? That's being built. It's not done. Is it done? Oh, I mean, I'm assuming if they're possibly advertising it, getting done.
To my knowledge, there have been no events held inside of it. This will be the first This will be the first.
Wild.
I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong, but I'm wrong about a lot of stuff in Dubai. The cops have Lamborghinis. That's all. That's all we need to know.
And they're cool.
I'm honestly shocked that real talk, full transparency, I did not know there was a Coca-Cola branded arena in Dubai prior to this announcement. That is insane to me.
It was opened in 2019.
So there's had to have been some events that have taken place there prior to.
Yeah. There's been basketball games. It looks like there's been a fight or two. Concerts. Yeah, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, it looks beautiful on the inside. I think this could be a great venue. I'm interested to see how they build it. I wonder if they'll build it kind of how they did like the Fortnite World Cup, where it'll be like stacking stages almost, and then you have that's one thing. It's also hard to set up like a good stage for a battle royale game.
I still think the best one that I've ever seen, even taking the Fortnite World Championships into accommodation, was the H1Z1 Pro League.
Yeah, the one that had like the 2 walls of stages.
So theirs was just a giant circle. So each of the players had basically like a player pod. It was almost like their own cubicle they were sitting in, but it was in a complete circle. And then they had the H1Z1, the skull logo, basically in the center of all of that, and that's where the commentators were.
I see it.
So for camera shots, it looked very, very impressive. And they actually had lights that would illuminate over top of the players, and when they were eliminated, I believe they turned red. If they didn't turn off completely, they turned red. And so it was easy to see from a wide shot. If you were a person sitting in that stadium, because that was actually taking place at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas during the time, if you were there as a viewer, it was so easy to follow. But then also, like, getting that wide shot of seeing the players, like, you know, each of the kills coming down and seeing the players actually get eliminated technically, like, in the stadium, was such a cool effect.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot to keep track of in a battle royale stage. Here, I'm gonna the best one that I've seen personally is, I'll send it to you in your Discord. It was the PUBG stage, and it almost looked like it's like theater seating almost.
Yes.
But I really liked that format too, because it kind of created like a wall or an alleyway of competitors, and I feel like some competitors got to see each other. I feel like the circle. I don't know. I feel like I like the teams separated. You have the team names and all that fun stuff, kind of just like in this alleyway, in this hallway of just craziness. I really like
we've
that.
also seen the double stacks. We've seen kind of like what was the term that was used? I think it's like a wall-less apartment.
Yeah.
We saw with DreamHack, where it's like basically like, you know, just trusting on top of trusting, and then the players like sit within their pod, and it's more and more vertical base. This, with it only being 16 teams, I don't think it'll be as crazy.
Yeah.
Especially with that being on mobile, like they don't really need that much space. So yeah, it pretty much.
Just give them some plastic folding chairs and some 6-foot tables and let them go at it.
I mean, we've seen crazier events in the Middle East where that did happen. I don't think that'll happen with Dubai, but
yeah. Remember that Counter-Strike tournament where they played outside?
You're excited. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
That was also, if you're talking about
that was in Dubai.
the ESL event, that was Dubai, yeah.
Yep.
And I think it was like 130 degrees outside
Yep.
at nighttime.
Yep. Well, it gets to like 110 at night, but it's really humid. Yeah. But I will say, I have gone to the Middle East and I went and watched soccer games, and I went and saw it in an open ceiling stadium, and it was cold. They're wizards at air conditioning, so I have 100% faith that everybody will be completely comfortable in this setting. But I am very excited. Again, it's just one of those things where I know there's a couple of mobile games that are starting to get their esports itch, and I'm just curious to see what ones are going to be watchable.
I think PUBG Mobile already to the point is watchable. I don't think you'll have a super hard time getting into it as far as like actually being able to follow things. It's just is it for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's true. That's true. But do you have any extra things you want to sprinkle in that happened this week? Anything you want to talk about?
I don't have anything too crazy. I think I kind of mentioned it earlier. I have been playing more Valorant.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of that game's announcement, I was very excited. Got into the closed beta through contacts in the industry. Downloaded, installed, never touched it once, uninstalled it, and basically sat around for what was that, 6 months before I actually gave the game a chance. I am really, really liking it. I think having more of the perception of actually playing it gives me a better viewpoint on where I think the game is going to go. I think it's going to be wildly successful.
Oh yeah,
especially once Riot gets everything up and going league wise. But other than that, just holiday craziness, man. We're almost at the end of the year.
Do you think Riot will hop on board with the franchise esports model?
Absolutely. Why would they not? They already do that for League.
Yeah, they do kind of. But do you see like city teams, right?
Oh,
hopping
geolocation teams.
Yeah. Because I feel like the
Probably.
CDL is the first one to really do it right. I mean, the Overwatch League kind of did it first, but I feel like the CDL did it right. Does that make sense? With like branding and like actually marketing the teams.
Right.
Oh!
I think that.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I think that was the vision for Overwatch League the whole time, and it just happened that they were kind of testing the waters, and they built the LA studios, and then the CDL gave them the opportunity to kind of branch out and do the homesteads and things like that. Overwatch League was following suit, but CDL was the first to do it, and I think that's definitely the best example to follow.
Yeah. I mean, just for it to be worth, I mean, you have 25 million, right, as a buy-in, but you have teams like Chicago this last year saying that they were able to basically break even on their first year on their investment. And I think that right there, when that statement came out, I was like, okay, there's a little bit more here than what we think. I will say this. I'm gonna pull it up here. Guess who tweeted? Paris.
So tweeted. Oh, Paris.
Paris finally had their first tweet. They've had a couple of retweets, but do you know what the first thing they tweeted was? Wasn't a roster announcement.
No.
Wasn't a coach. What could have been? What? Take a guess. Just take one guess.
I'm gonna guess that they have some kind of like partnership that they announced in Black Friday sales. I don't know.
No. Okay. Spoof tweeted. Spoof tweeted went 1 for 1 a day with 7-3 map count. Shout out to Paris Legion and DM Theory for drafting me in the first. This is during the scouting series. And list teammates had fun for the night. Won't be participating tomorrow. We are playing in a tournament as a team. Their first tweet in 2 months was the fire emoji in a reply to a tweet from Spoof.
Wow.
And then they proceeded to retweet the 5 stages of competition from CDL and the CDL skins in Call of Duty. So they haven't really tweeted.
I'm going to give you homework for this week. I want you to go on LinkedIn or scour Twitter and find who is the social media manager.
Oh, it's a mystery. Oh, you've given me the impossible task.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna try and do some homework. I just feel like even with like players or owners or anybody associated, I feel like you have to be able to get down to the bottom of this and realize if there is an actual one. Is there a job posting for social media manager? Or is it just somebody that just doesn't, if their philosophy is like, okay, you do all your work during the season?
Well, they have a coach that they haven't announced yet for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why we know they have a coach is because They had a coach during the scouting series that picked the player. And do you know who was the most successful team during the scouting series? Paris! They had the highest win rate, and they didn't say anything about it. They only tweeted a fire emoji, and that's it. Last 2 months. What a world we live in, dude.
I'm trying to look now. I'm going down the rabbit hole, but I've noticed it's going to take.
we can't do it right now. Let me see, Fox. What did you post? Oh, it's a YouTube link. It's mute. It looks like a little animated short. Did you make an animated short? You did make an animated short. It's 46 minutes? No shot we are reacting to this right now. I gotta go to bed soon. But I will watch it. I did click the link. I will watch it. But yeah, no, that's all I had to say is Paris finally tweeted. Kind of. Somewhat. But yeah, this week I'll do the digging. I'll go down the rabbit hole. I'll figure out what we're missing. I also gotta find I know who runs the Surge Twitter, and I gotta get on them too.
I feel like you could almost like tweet at one of the players as well and be like, hey, who's the social media manager for Paris?
They'll just say we don't know. Did you find it?
No, I'm actually on the CDL website right now, and I'm clicking around, but I can't even find anything on like ownership of the team or what's going on.
All right, well, that is going to conclude it for us. It's that time of night where we, you know what we do.
Bring it down real low.
Real low. Start raising that music level up just a little bit. As we move forward in this week, as winter starts, we just get heated up. We have a couple of announcements coming soon this week, possibly towards the end of the week. So I want to take this time to appreciate everyone who tuned into the event, show, you know what I mean, who tuned into the show, listened to our moderately okay voices talk about different esports things. And today, Mike and I both agreed that PUBG Mobile might be okay. But I was your host, Refresh, co-hosting today.
As always, Mohawkmike, wishing everybody a
you're fired.
Non-denominational gift exchange to celebrate this holiday season.
Yeah, so happy holidays, right? That's what the term is?
Absolutely. That seems to be the catch-all.
That was the shortcut.
And, be safe out there. If you're traveling for any reason, then be safe. Otherwise, just take it easy, and we're almost through this butcher of a year.
We are. Just a couple more days. But thank you everybody for watching. We're gonna go ahead and roll this one out. We will see you next week, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after. The week after.
I have a dentist appointment that week, so that won't be kind of hazy.
Oh yeah, so 7 weekends from now, weeks from now.
I'm teasing.
Okay. I'll just mark it on the calendar, the Google Calendar.
I told you I opened the show by eating jelly beans. I don't really have to be concerned about my teeth.